Welcome to the Senior Living Sizzle, a conversation series where I, Christie Freeze, sit down with senior living experts to get their thoughts on the industry's hottest topics. Let's get sizzling.
Welcome, everyone, official to Heart Legacy Senior Living Sizzle. As many of you know, Heart Legacy is home to SalesMail, which is Senior Living's #1 video app and relationship building tool. This conversation series is all about bringing you expert-led discussions on the industry's hottest topics. And today we're diving into the #1 requested topic from last month's poll. So let's get started and discuss some virtual tour best practices with Katie Beatie from Arbor Citrus Park. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you. Hello, everyone from all over. My name is Katie Beatie, and I'm with Arbor Citrus Park here in Tampa, Florida. I have been with the company for 6 years and in senior living for 6 years. So prior to senior living, I worked in the golf industry. So very similar lifestyle sales. But I'm really excited to share some best practices and how virtual tours through SalesMail has, helped me be successful and be 100% occupied for over 2.5 years.
Woo-woo. Let's get, some extra celebration for that. That's a huge win, huge accomplishment. And you mentioned, Katie, that you were in the golf industry prior. And I'm sorry, everyone, I have to share with you my favorite fun fact that Katie shared with me is that she helped to open the very first Topgolf ever.
I did,
which is so cool.
In Alexandria, Virginia. Yep.
You learn something new every day, friends. All right. Well, Katie, let's go ahead and dive in. So I have a few different areas that we can travel down, but I kind of want to start with just really talking about the true virtual tour experience. So, whether that be an evergreen virtual tour or a personalized virtual tour. And so I'm curious to kind of hear your thoughts and feedback on that and what you prefer to do.
Kind of any virtual tour, to be honest. It shows real life. I think, we talked before, we've all been to that hotel that you see the pictures online and you get there and you're like, oh, that was really staged or taken 20 years ago when it was brand new. So seeing real life, I think, is important to people. Seeing something that is not, digitally mastered and made beautiful, how they would see it, how you would see it on a tour. So any given day, through Evergreen, through any community, to be able to show the different times a day, because we've all had that tour where we walk in and you're like, I promise there's 100 and something people that live here and there's nobody.
Yeah. I always thought when I was in that role, like if somebody walks in right now, I don't want them to have like a misconception of what they're walking into. I want it to feel like that's how we build trust, right? And we talk a lot about using video to build trust. But if you've sent something out to a family or a prospect and then they walk in and it's exactly like you showed them, they're going to start to feel like, oh, I can really trust this person. And this is really what this looks like. Something else we talked about just in preparing for this conversation was that you will go and video like a mid-turned apartment for someone. Can you share with us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So as I mentioned, we're 100% occupied. So revenue days are a huge focus on kind of what I do for operations. So sometimes that mid-turn, as they're doing stuff, I want a resident or someone on our wait list to see that apartment. So I video the features. So the highlights, the best things, certain things that are important to them. So if it has a balcony in that view, I just video the balcony and the view. I have other videos of different floor plans or similar floor plans when we had open ones or models that I say, okay, I'm going to send you this one, but really the whole apartment looks like this or similar to this. So the more video and the more that you can share with them, it's just going to broaden that reach to them.
I love that. And on the topic of waitlist nurturing, since you are in a position to have a waitlist, are you using these virtual tours and just SalesMail in general to communicate with those and kind of nurture them until something comes available?
Absolutely. So, it's great for virtual tours because I'm selling something that a lot of times they can't see. For a long time, we were trying to show residents apartments. But when you have a high volume tour place and you're constantly showing residents apartments, it's not like they're apartments for sale, and
they're like, actually, you have to move out. I want
and
this
want
one.
people want to look in things, and it's kind of an invasion of their space. So I'm always able to show them something and say, hey, I have a video of these other apartments. So it helps nurture or let a resident know, I have this type of apartment coming available. Would you be interested? It also helps our non-paid referral sources or paid referral sources, because sometimes when you're at 100%, they forget about you. And so I'm like, hey, I have this apartment. No one on our wait list wants it. This is what it looks like. If you have someone, here are the details.
That's an awesome best practice. I never really even thought about leveraging it with your referral partners. You do bring up something that we talked about very briefly when we connected, and it was around the internet salesperson and how, how that process works. And if that person has access to these virtual tours of what the community actually looks like, it helps you kind of bridge that gap a little bit. So you kind of walk us through like what that process is?
Sure. I think we've all scrolled through social media and seen a restaurant that you're like, oh, I didn't know that was down the street from me, but you've seen it. You've seen the outside. You're like, it's very Instagram worthy. It's cute. I would love to go there. But, you might have driven by that shopping center a million times, just didn't know that hidden gem was there. And it entices you. So I feel like that is kind of a similar thing with the internet salesperson, or when you're trying to reach someone that maybe your front desk left a message or they've reached out to you and you've just had no contact, giving them that just little tidbit, enticing video of what an apartment looks like. Because they see the pictures online, but everybody has beautiful pictures online. So to see something in real time and that is made by you, I feel like truly entices people to say, hey, I'm going to contact them or make that connection.
Yeah, I kind of like to, it almost feels like a qualifier. Like, hey, here's this video of our actual community. Makes you feel like you can really experience it or feel what it's going to feel like when you go there. And then to your point, you're like, yes, I would like to come tour. Tell me more about that. I love that. In the same vein of just doing virtual tours, I'm super curious on your thoughts around narrating that virtual tour or being quiet in the virtual tour.
So I've always narrated the virtual tours, just like I would give a tour of a regular apartment, or because you're painting a picture. As we mentioned, I worked for the first Topgolf that opened. So people did not understand what that concept was. So literally they were taking a driving range and making this concept. So you kind of had to explain to people that. I also worked in another pre-lease or pre-opening of a golf club, and the community I'm currently in was also a pre-lease and new build. So you're always painting a picture. So being able to describe it as you're talking, because sometimes when you're just visually looking at it, they may not see that, I don't know, beautiful walk-in closet. They might just kind of, as you're looking, they're kind of absorbing it, but didn't get the details of it. Or there might be specific details as you pan, where we have full-size appliances. They may not realize that that's what all that is. So I think narration definitely helps to help paint that picture and just, again, give it more of that authentic, true to self video.
I love that. I did a little promo video for this conversation that was around the concept of keeping interesting doors closed and routine doors open. Yeah. And so that was kind of, I guess I've thought about that before, but I had never really anchored in the concept. And it's, really going back to what you're saying of storytelling, essentially, right? Painting the picture, infusing it with some actual emotion so that somebody can connect to that. And, really just leveraging that. It takes, I think, a little bit more forethought to be like, okay, hold on, what is my tour path? But to your point, it's just how you would give a normal tour. Absolutely. If you had a really exciting, super cool master bedroom that was set up beautifully, you might wait until you got there to open that and be like, and this is what the master suite looks like. So I think there's some, really fun techniques within using video to do this that can just, again, kind of anchor in that emotional connection that's really needed.
I really like that idea of kind of that suspenseful opening the door. Just before you do the video, turn all the lights on.
Ooh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's important.
I had to redo them because I was like, oh, the light, I didn't turn it on. And I'm like looking for the light switch.
I mean, listen, sometimes that's kind of fun too, but I totally agree. And just
Yes,
having,
you don't want that authentic.
yeah, well, yeah,
Bloopers at that
line.
point.
Yes. Ironically, I just posted a video yesterday that a bug was attacking me mid-video, and I just shared it still because I was like, the rest of this video is solid. I'm going for it.
There you go.
Okay, so there was one more thing I wanted to talk about on this in this kind of same vein, and it's not necessarily virtual tours, but it's when we are getting a tour on site. And you shared some things that I thought were really, really helpful for folks to know around almost like a pre-tour reminder. So can you kind of talk us through like what that looks like and the benefits that have come from that?
Sure. So here at our community, we're a campus. So we have a building that is right off the main road and then another building that sits behind it. So just depending on if you're looking at assisted living, independent, etc., what building you're going to go to. And because the independent living is a newer building, it's 6 years old, it doesn't always, well, it didn't. It does more. Didn't always MapQuest or Waze perfectly.
Sure.
But it still gets confusing. So being able to explain to someone through video of where they're going to turn, where they're going to park, the front door, the front desk, what that looks like. So when they come in, they're not like, what door do I go into? This doesn't look right. I even explained, because we have a back entrance with a gate. If you get to this gate, this is what you're going to do. Because sometimes just depending on, we have a high school near us, so depending on the high school, you have to turn there. So it just takes away that, like, what if, what am I going to do? And that stress, because nobody wants to start a tour with someone coming in all hot and like, I just couldn't find you all.
Stressed out, frustrated.
It's so stressful.
Yeah. It is, and I loved when you shared this with me prior, because I have found in my personal usage of sales mail, and I was in a similar situation as you, where I didn't have a building. It didn't exist. And so to your point, couldn't MapQuest it. I would always say that we were behind the Meijer in my town that we were in. I was like, just come behind Meijer. We're right there. It's a very emotionally charged situation. And so when families or prospects themselves are walking in and they are already a little resistant, a little nervous to walk through the door, I remember literally seeing shoulders drop with like ease, right? Like, oh, I recognize you. And to be able to say, like, I'm wearing this, red sweater or this pink top, and I'm going to be at this entrance waiting for you. And then they see you and they recognize you because they just saw you in that video reminder. It just, again, everything is kind of tying together this trust thread, if you will, of, okay, we're starting to layer in the trust. And now you're set up as a salesperson to have a more successful tour and a more successful experience for them. So I really love that. In that same vein, we're going to kind of keep shifting a little bit because you shared an example around something very similar to this, but in regards to a networking event that you had and using sales mail to do a similar thing. And I just thought your experience and your success was super profound. So I would love to kind of hear, it's probably very similar to what you just shared, but anything additional on that?
Sure. So it is a networking group. It's typically anywhere from 70 to 90 people that show up. And their businesses all over this area that we're in. And a lot of times when I go to them, they're at a doctor's office, and, we've all been to we're in senior living, we've all been to a medical, area, and the parking is horrible. So here, we have residents who are leaving and it's their home. So we have enough parking, but I also wanted to explain to people how to park, where to park, because we do have some resident spots, what those look like. And then obviously, when someone's coming to a network meeting, especially early in the morning, they want to, get there, do their thing, and then get on with their lives. Because we're all business somehow. So yes. Explaining, and again, those two buildings. So explaining to them. So out of probably the 75 people that came that morning, one went completely to the wrong building, to the wrong address, to the wrong place because we were hosting it with someone else and they went to their building. And then
But otherwise,
only one person went to the wrong building, and they all joked. They're like, she made a video, but it really helped people because, again, I know when I go to these things, I'm always stressed about parking. And I hate to be towed.
Sure.
I live in a college town. I hate to be towed. I will not park somewhere if I think I'm ever going to be towed. I think it's the worst experience in your life. So I think it's just, again, respectful to the people who live here, but it's also, a lot of the networking people I do see, but then sometimes I don't see them. So they also knew my face, that this was my community, that they were coming to see me. So when they saw me, they're like, oh, you're the girl from the video. Like, this is your community. And they didn't have to read my name tag. So I felt like it gave that little just extra, connection to everyone who was there in case I didn't get to meet them.
There's a few questions rolling in. And I also see a tip in here, which is really great, especially for those of you in new development, but probably a good tip for everybody. Is to make sure your address on Google Maps is accurate and make sure the pin drop is in the right location. Sometimes it's not, and know how your street is spelled in Google Maps, i.e. Sand Hollow or Sand Hollow really makes a difference. 100%. I love that. Okay, there are also some questions in here. So let's take a peek at those really quickly because that will just probably bring up some more things for us to talk about. Okay, one of the questions is, are you on camera during the virtual tour? Or is it just a video of the property or unit? I'll let you answer and then I'll kind of share my thoughts as well.
Sure. So sometimes I do both. I did not love being on camera. I'm going to be honest. It wasn't always my favorite thing, but I just kind of got used to it. So it's always, I think, great when they see your face because sometimes they're sharing it with maybe family members who are out of state. So again, you're building that trust, that authentic, this is me. So I like to use that multi-video setting in SalesMail to always have that option to turn it around, or at the end of the video at least to kind of say, hey, my contact information's below, and kind of do the send off in that sense. So probably both, but again, just depends on what I'm videoing. Sometimes those feature ones, I might just be like, hey, we spoke about the balcony. This is the balcony. So it kind of depends.
I love that. Yeah. So my kind of added thought on that was when I was using SalesMail for virtual tours specifically, I would typically do what you said. The multi-clip feature within SalesMail makes this super easy. But basically, I would take the first clip of my face because that first 3 to 5 seconds is what captures the animated GIF preview that they're going to see in their email, text message, however you're communicating with them. So I really wanted that to be another, again, I'm really big about like those trust kind of trigger points of, hey, this is me, I'm a person. Sometimes I would even have a whiteboard with their name on it or the apartment number on it, and so that they knew what we were about to look at. And then I would stop that first clip and then turn it around and showcase the apartment, common area, etc. Another thought that I have on this is, there's still a ton of great value in having those more like the virtual reality or the 3D or the drone tours. Those are helpful, but I really like to pair those with a personal introduction. So, I mentioned it in a post on LinkedIn that no one's ever been like, man, that virtual reality tour really just made my heart feel so warm and fuzzy. I can't wait to move in. And to your point earlier, it doesn't always look like that when you arrive on site. And so, if you do have the, ability to use those drone footages and use some of those more produced videos, you might consider adding a personal introduction to the beginning of it just to really humanize that experience for someone. So that was a great question. Let's look here. How do you decide when to send a virtual tour?
I send them all the time.
When in doubt.
When in doubt, just send the tour. If I'm going through prospects and I'm like, okay, you're still in the inquiry stage. Like, why haven't we connected? You have an email, a text message. I'm going to send you a video because maybe all of the above, you felt like you were talking to someone on AI or chatbot or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Someone who I've connected with, maybe we haven't you're thinking of doing a tour, but not sure, or you've canceled your tour, I'm going to give you a little tidbit of what it looks like so that maybe that entices you more, like, oh, that's really interesting. I have a family who lives here who saw our floor plans online and canceled because it was too small. And I was like, well, let me show you one with furniture in it. And so you can actually see it. And they live here today. So, I don't know. I use it. I use it a lot.
When in doubt.
When in doubt,
just send it out.
Send a tour video.
This is why Katie is the perfect guest for this Senior Living Sizzle, because when looking through who is leveraging this the best and in the most creative ways, Katie is at the top. Like, you are doing a great job, and I just love to hear of your wins and successes. This was a question that was asked, and I think kind of already covered it earlier on. Do you narrate everything? Like, this is your living room, or do you focus more on the things that aren't obvious?
Kind of both. We have an open floor plan, so sometimes without furniture, the kitchen is going into the living room. Obviously, it's not a studio, but I'm showing a floor plan. We don't have really models, so I explained that that's the living room, and this might be the primary bedroom. Yeah, I think I do, but I do pick out different features as well. I try not to do everything though on it because I want to show them something when they come.
A little appetizer, if you will.
But I think there's key things that, people are always looking for. And then also things that make you different. In our assisted living, we have regular sized refrigerators. I know that doesn't sound like much to most people, but when you have a small refrigerator and you have a big refrigerator, I definitely point that out.
Yeah, you can have way more snacks in a regular sized refrigerator. Everybody knows that.
I don't know if you really need all those snacks in senior living, but why not?
We do have somebody asking, would you show us one of your best videos? I love your creativity. And Pam, what we can do is we can get a video of Katie's and share that out on the Heart Legacy page. If you're okay with that, Katie, We'll find one and get your blessing on that, but would love to share. I looked through a copious amount of them, I won't lie. And I was like, these are so good. And I think it's really important that we drive home the importance of authenticity and really just showing up as you are. I think that a lot of folks on the call right now are sales directors in communities. And if you are in that role right now, you're in that role on purpose. You were chosen on purpose. You've got the skill set. You've got the passion. All you need to do is just showcase that. And sales mail, I always say, is the vehicle, right, to capture that and then send it in whatever means of communication you were already used to sending. You did already kind of mention it, Katie, but I loved that you shared that you did not love being on camera at the beginning. What was it, do you think, that helped you shift that kind of narrative in your mind?
So really, I think we started Sales Mail in 2019. It was probably 2020 and I had a lot of time on my hands. But also that became the virtual world. So, I had to share apartments at that time. COVID hit when we were 18 months into opening the building. So I had a lot of empty apartments, but I'm so glad I did because I have so many apartments now. When I need them to show to someone or something similar, I just say, this looks different now because we don't have carpet. We put flooring in once someone moves out. But I have a lot to show from it. And I had time. But I feel like you always have time. A video is 3 minutes max. I would say I try to do it one and done. There's every once in a while I might say something and I'm like, oops, I need to redo it. But I don't overthink it. I mean, we've all walked an apartment. We've toured an apartment, a million times. It's just like doing that. I have a gimbal, one of those like hand things. I have a mic, but I really, to be honest, I don't use them. I did in the beginning, but I feel like I have a steady hand. I always apologize to people when I send them a video.
I did hear that in one.
I'm always like, hope I don't make you dizzy or seasick, but I did it myself. So
I love that. And you know what? That trumps having smooth, steady everything. I did see one more question come in. It says, I've heard virtual tours can speed up the sales process. Has that been true in your experience?
I think so. Absolutely. Another reason I started the videos was I realized, when people were coming back in to talk with me, they were talking about another apartment. And I was like, no, that's not us. I mean, it's just like when you look at houses, they all start to like kind of merge together. And depending on how many these families have looked at, the video, I think, always keeps you in the forefront because they can go back and say, does this dresser fit there? Can I put this there? They might have the measurements, but it's not like they can look at it real time. Or what did that kitchen look like? Could I put my coffee maker there that I love? So I definitely think it always keeps you on the forefront. It keeps them actively engaged. And the higher the engagement, I think the higher, the increase on conversion for sure.
100%. Beautifully said. That was beautiful. Okay, so I just realized we only have 2 minutes left. This has gone so fast, but I do want to share any just kind of like big key takeaways. So is there anything that you have that you would love for our audience to hear before we wrap it up today?
I just think that, do the virtual tour, send the videos. It keeps you in the forefront. It keeps you something that we always can go back and look at. We've always been we've all been on that rabbit hole in social media. If you watched a video 10,000 times and shared it, they'll share it with their families. They'll share it with their friends. So yes, send the video. It's easy.
If you are curious as to how easy it is, we do host a demo day as well each and every month to just kind of show you the inside scoop on sales mail and how easy it is to record and send and then track all of those results. So huge thank you, Katie. I appreciate you and your time. We have loved learning from you. I've been in this industry since 2012 and still continue to learn and grow. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much for tuning into this discussion. Keep the conversation going by dropping your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell to be the first one to hear the next hot topic. The Senior Living Sizzle is brought to you by Heart Legacy, home of Senior Living's #1 video tool, Sales Mail. Book more tours, win more leases, and build stronger connections with personalized video from Sales Mail. And if you'd like to join us for the next live sizzle, click the link at the top of the description below. Thanks for watching.